Here's another lesson that we want to take away from this, folks. From this whole debacle at 10 Downing Street. Because look at what we are seeing here. Keir Starmer is throwing people under the bus. He's throwing Mandelson under the bus. He was apparently his friend not that long ago. Now he's getting thrown under the bus. He's making excuses for his mistake. Keir Starmer hired Peter Mandelson. Tim Allen, the communications chief, didn't do his homework. Morgan McSweeney didn't do his homework. Maybe they did do their homework and they've just been caught in the deceptive act. Maybe they didn't do their homework. But the point is, the buck stops with Keir Starmer. He could have said, no, I do not want to hire Peter Mandelson. But he did. And it's now come to light that that was not a good decision. It goes without saying. In other words, Keir Starmer, Morgan McSweeney, Tim Allen, all of them. The advisors, the communication chiefs, the Prime Minister, they've all been caught lying. And it goes without saying, Pete has been caught lying as well about the nature of his relationship with Jeffrey Epstein and the sensitive information with regards to markets and insider trading that could perhaps have taken place as a result of this sensitive information being shared with Jeff. All of these people have been caught lying. And so, folks, we have to be honest here for ourselves. And this is why there's such a good lesson in this. Being 100% honest or 100% deceptive is a foolish strategy. You need to read the circumstance. Honesty or deception, and the degree to which you engage in both, is circumstantial. It depends on the circumstances. How honest you're going to be, how deceptive you're going to be. But here's the thing, folks. All of us, myself included, we all want to be admired and respected in this life. There will be, of course, anomalies, retards, idiots, who genuinely, whatever way their nervous system is put together, they have some quirk in their psychology whereby they don't have normal human social interaction patterns and goals. You will get anomalies. That's true. But most people, folks, in this life, they want to be admired and respected. I am no different and you are no different. In other words, we all care what people think. And anybody who says that they don't care what other people think is a liar. They are being deceptive. And anyone who tells you that you need to be 100% honest all the time, that is coming from a liar, from a deceptive person. Because if you are 100% honest all of the time, you are easier to exploit. You will continue to put your foot in shit over and over and over. And so it's easier for other deceptive people to extract from you information from you and other things, financial resources from you, if you are 100% honest all of the time. So people who are telling you to be 100% honest, they are liars, and they are looking to put you in a more exploitable position. In other words, in more disadvantageous circumstances. Don't buy that crap. Honesty and deception is circumstantial. You need to read the room. You need to read the circumstance. But we also have to be honest, folks, that we all want to be admired and respected as well. Most of us. Yes, there will be anomalies who don't give a shit because of the way their brain is wired. They are weirdos. Forget about them. Most people on the planet want to be admired and respected. Now, why am I saying this? I'm saying this because if we buy into the notion that you neither want to be 100% honest all of the time or 100% deceptive all of the time, if we buy into that notion that honesty, the blend of honesty and deception is circumstantial, then that means there will be moments in our lives, folks, where life calls upon us to be deceptive. For some reason, there's some set of circumstances whereby not telling the full truth and omitting certain details, which is deception by definition or default, there will be certain circumstances in life where being deceptive is the right move. Maybe not 100% deceptive, but certainly bringing a little bit of deception into your strategy will be a good move. Both for you and perhaps for someone else as well. Because sometimes the truth isn't good enough. Sometimes 100% honesty isn't good enough for some people. Some people mightn't just be in the headspace to hear 100% honesty. That's why you need to read the room. Maybe there's a circumstance that you could benefit from where 100% honesty may cost you something important. It could be your life, in the case of armed robbers breaking into your house, or it could be some resource whereby you don't need to bare your soul, have bare bollocks honesty. You could just keep that information to yourself. Omit that detail, get on with the deal, acquire the resource in a fair way so that you're not screwing the other person over. That's fine. We all want to be admired and respected. However, folks, if we do believe in this notion of a blend of honesty and deception that's dependent on the circumstances, then every now and again we are going to be telling some lies. We are going to be deceptive. And here is the big lesson from this story, folks, with Pete, Jeff, and KEIR. Morgan McSweeney, Tim Allen, all of these people. If you are caught being deceptive, so if you are caught being deceptive, which can happen, it's probably happened to us all. If you want to maintain, or at least try to hold on to whatever admiration and respect that people have for you, then what you want to do is own the deception. Don't blame someone else. Don't throw someone else under the bus. This is what you are seeing here in this entire debacle with the Epstein files, with Mandelson, with Starmer. It's an absolute knives are out. The knives are out. And everybody is throwing everyone else onto the bus. Mandelson's getting thrown onto the bus by Starmer. You've got all of these other political figures that are going to try and throw other figures onto the bus. They're going to try and associate people with Starmer, throw them onto the bus. They're then going to try and fight their own corner and throw those people onto the bus by tarnishing their reputations in some way with some other piece of information. What you are seeing here, you are seeing Starmer in particular throw Mandelson onto the bus, and he's throwing Morgan McSweeney onto the bus, Tim Allen onto the bus. All these people are getting thrown onto the bus. In other words, what is Starmer doing? He's blaming other people. He's trying to make it out as if, oh, well, I was poorly advised, and, oh, Pete Mandelson, he was deceptive towards me. He was deceptive about his friendship with Jeffrey. He's trying to offload the blame and the responsibility for decisions that he has taken. And what does this do, folks? This makes him look even worse in the eyes of the public. Even worse. Now, maybe Keir Starmer is in a bind. Maybe he has no option but to go and walk this path now. Maybe he has paymasters and other people who have him in a bind. Who knows? I don't know anything. That's a possibility. Maybe what you're seeing here with Keir Starmer is he is being forced into taking these actions. He has no option. But we can learn from this, folks. And what we can learn is, the broad lesson here is that when we are caught in the act of deception, because it can happen, and maybe, as I've said, you've been deceptive for a good reason. There's an honourable reason. Like, for example, with the coach and their player. Excuse me. Or there could be some other circumstance in life where you've been deliberately dishonest or you've omitted details. I did it with my own father when he had cancer. I didn't always just give my father the bare bollocks honest assessment. I wanted to make sure that his spirits were being kept high. I wanted to make sure that we were able to, let's just say at certain times, put a spin on the information so that psychologically he still felt like he was in the game. There was strategic omission of certain details. Not that he was poorly informed, not at all, but it's more the way in which we were delivering the information. We would maybe hone in on certain aspects more than others. Because, of course, the medical folk were giving him the worst case scenario all the time. So why do we need to just pile on and continue to hammer the man into the ground. No, we can be strategically deceptive, omit certain things. We don't need to regurgitate the same medical line that's coming from oncologists. So there will be circumstances, like the circumstance with my own father, and maybe another circumstance with you, where there's strategic deception, and it's actually useful. Sometimes we can get caught, though, when we are deceptive. And the big, broad lesson here, folks, is if you are caught being deceptive, what you do not want to do, if you want to maintain or try and hold on to whatever respect and admiration may be still in the equation for you, own it. Own it. Just say, look, I was deceptive for this reason. I was wrong to do it on reflection, but here is the reason why I was deceptive. From my perspective in that moment, I thought it was the right thing to do. It turns out with hindsight that it was not the right thing to do, and I should not have done that. I own full responsibility for being deceptive. There's nobody else to blame. That one's on me. And I'll make sure going forward that I am able to better understand and read circumstances. Now, the people who are listening to that on the other end may still be pissed off at you. They may be pissed off at what you've done for the deception that you've engaged with. But if you just own it, and you sort of candidly, with honesty, in a sense, explain why you did it. Don't try to blame someone else. That's what Starmer's doing here. And folks, we can all see it. It leaves a bad taste in the mouth. It doesn't look good. Whatever very little respect the public has for Keir Starmer, they have even less now, because they're just watching him and all of his political colleagues stab each other in the back. There's no admiration or respect to be garnered from people throwing other people onto the bus or stabbing them in the back. People would have a lot more respect for Keir Starmer if he just came out and said, look, I made a mistake. This was my mistake. There's nobody else to blame. The buck stops with me. I'm the Prime Minister. I should have been better informed. I should have asked more questions. It's not Peter Mandelson's fault. It's not Morgan McSweeney's fault. It's not anybody else's fault. It's my fault. The buck stops with me. I am the CEO of this operation. I'm the figurehead. I'm the leader. And I should have better informed myself. And I didn't do that. And that one's on me. Everybody else who advised me or communicated on my behalf, I had to assimilate all of that information and come to my own conclusions. I came to these conclusions because I thought they were the right thing to do in the moment. It turns out they weren't. And if Keir Starmer, for example, were to just step down as Prime Minister, I'm not saying he should do that, but if he did do that, followed by that sort of an explanation of the deception, if he was just honest and candid about his decision-making process, why he came to these decisions, people would respect that a lot more, even if they disagree or are still pissed off about what he did. Now, maybe Keir Starmer's in a bind. Maybe all of these political figures are in some sort of a sticky pickle. Maybe some other paymaster or person who is above them in the hierarchy has leverage on them. They have blackmail on them. And maybe they just have to do what they're going to do now because they have no option. Maybe their life is under threat. Maybe their family's existence is under threat. Maybe they just have to continue and toe this line of thinking. Maybe that's what they have to do. But for us, folks, the broad lesson is, if you're caught in the act of deception, which can happen, because sometimes you may be deceptive for a reason that you thought was honourable or that made sense to you at the time. And if you are caught in the act, that's fine. We all make mistakes, folks. We can only do the best we can in any given moment with the information that we have at our disposal. Sometimes we will tell lies or porky pies because we think it's the best thing. We've tried to read the room as best as we could, and we've told a lie or been strategically deceptive. And oh well, it's blown up in our face. Sometimes this happens in life, folks. The best thing you can do in a set of circumstances like that is not to do what you're seeing Keir Starmer do, which is throw people onto the bus, offload responsibility, pretend that he was deceived, blame Mandelson, blame the advisor, blame the communications chief, get these people to step down to save your own arse. Don't do that. Own it. Because if you buy into this logic, you will understand that everyone is both honest and deceptive in some ratio. Most people have a mixture of the two. And sometimes when we are deceptive, we do get caught. If we want to try and hold on to the respect and admiration that other people have for us, because we all want to be respected and admired, then the best thing you can do is own it. Explain your thought process behind why you did it. And if people are still unhappy with that, then so be it. Such is life. You will have learned a valuable lesson about reading a room and when is the right time to be deceptive or honest. You learn something interesting. But at least keep this idea of maintaining your own self-accountability for your actions. Don't offload responsibility. If you've decided to be deceptive or honest, and for whatever reason neither was the right decision, then that's fine. Take responsibility for it. Don't blame someone else. Don't do what the politicians do, throwing people onto the bus or stabbing people in the back. Take responsibility for it. Be a man, or if you're a woman, then be a honourable person. Take accountability for what you say, for what you do. And if you've been caught being deceptive, so be it. You can at least explain your decision making to the people who are owed an explanation perhaps, and then so be it. The chips are going to fall the way they are going to fall. Those people may never speak with you again, but at least you didn't try to absolve yourself of responsibility. That's selling out. That's a kind of a cop-out. That's a sellout. And you're only going to get more disgusted at yourself for doing that. Be accountable for your own words and actions, for your own decisions, and then call it quits at that. If you're caught being deceptive like Mandelson or Starmer or Morgan McSweeney or Tim Allen or any of these people, if you're caught in the act of deception, let's learn from this. Let's be the bigger people here. Because we can all tell porky pies and we can all be caught from time to time being deceptive. When we are caught, fair enough. We explain our logic. We use hindsight to learn the lesson. But what we don't do is we don't blame other people because the buck stops with us. It should always be 100% accountability. When you blame other people, you lose the lesson. Because you seek to offload responsibility. And so you're more prone to making the same mistake again if you take full self-accountability for anything that happens, whether it's some decision you've made or being caught in the act of deception. If you take full self-accountability, then you know what? That means that you're going to engage in a critical self-analysis. You're going to be analytical of your own actions and your own behaviours. And that's a good thing. When you try to absolve yourself of responsibility, you lose the lesson. You then aren't able to improve your future performance. And that's only you who's going to lose out. Don't do what the politicians do. Don't sell out. Don't throw people onto the bus or stab them in the back. Own your deception. Because we all are deceptive, folks. So if you're caught, you own it. You be accountable for it. Because once you are accountable for it, you are going to then learn the lesson. It's a bit like if you break a tennis racket and someone buys you another racket. Are you more prone to breaking a racket again? Of course you are, because you've no skin in the game. If you have to pay for your own tennis rackets and you don't get a sponsor to give them to you, or daddy doesn't buy one for you, you'd be a lot more careful about breaking your racket and smashing it on the court. In other words, you'll have more self-accountability for your actions. If someone else is buying you your rackets, you won't give a shit. If you absolve responsibility for the purchasing of your rackets, then look what happens to your rackets. You're sloppy with them. It's the same thing here. Be accountable for your own words and actions. If you're caught in the act of deception, so be it. You own it. And once you own it and you take full responsibility and self-accountability for what it is that you've said or done, that is where you can then most learn the lesson. And that's what we want to do. Once we are self-accountable, once we learn the lessons, we benefit. It may be an unpleasant experience, that's true. But we'd be the better for it. And that's the key takeaway. That's the key lesson.